What's up, you guys?
Hi, yeah, how y'all doing? Welcome back to the Jim and Joe channel. And
Today we are talking about The Pianist.
a movie came out in 2002. Very good, about how a pianist named Vladik, I'm not gonna say his last name, survived the Holocaust.
Yep.
So, pretty much the movie starts off with Poland being invaded at the beginning of World War II.
So a piano man, who's the main character. Interesting fact is that this movie was based on a memoir.
Or something of that sort. It said it in the movie.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah.
So pianist named Vladik survives. It's basically about how he survives the German invasion.
Well, I already said the Holocaust, but
so he's in the piano recording studio.
It's a radio station.
And all of a sudden just an explosion bursts through the window, and he scurries out with all the other the Poland citizens, and we end up seeing German soldiers and vehicles all over the streets.
Then he goes home to his family. And
and they have to move out.
They're trying to move out. Then there are then a couple of kids refuse to. Now this is where things get bad. Because Germany invaded, they start putting in the newspapers that Jews can't do all this stuff. Jews can only have like 2,000 zlotys, I believe they said. Jews couldn't enter public places.
Such as parks, benches, any public restaurants or anything.
Yeah, and all of these...
They lost their rights.
All of these rights started getting impeded until the governor decreed that all Jews wear a Star of David on
Star of David.
On their arm that's white, and... they had to provide it. And during all of this, there's this one scene me and him wanted to talk about where Vladik's dad is walking down the street. And the Germans say, "Why didn't you bow?"
Yeah.
And
and he was saying, what did he say?
He said, "I'm sorry," or something like that.
Oh, yeah, and then he said you can, crawl down in the sewers or something
Well, actually, the German soldier hit him first, and he's like, "You're not allowed to walk on the street."
Walk in the sewers.
So, these people were treated horribly. The Holocaust was a horrible time.
It was.
I'm just saying this movie, I'm going to say this now, but this movie is sort of hard to watch if have a weak heart. I'll say that now. Then all the Jews are forced to move into the designated areas. They were called ghettos.
Mm-hmm.
There's this. Then they move in there. There's this big scene while the Jews are moving in there.
Yep.
And all the Jews are moving in there. There's this huge scene where you just see all these people who don't want to move into the ghettos moving in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're going to talk about the life in the ghettos from the movie. Yeah.
So, during the ghetto scene, basically, a woman was begging people to find her husband that had gone missing, and she was saying, if you happen to find him, just tell me. And she said his name.
Yeah, we don't remember.
And also, a woman they were in looks like a courtyard, and a woman was crying against the wall with her husband by her side saying, "Why did I do it?"
Yeah, well,
and she ended up hiding into a place.
I'll explain it. She ended
up the baby.
Yeah, she killed her own baby
because she didn't want to.
Yeah, I want to talk about some stuff before that. Sorry, Jim. There was also the scene where the boy with his father was on the ground, and the father was very diseased, and he was dying, and the boy was like, "Papa, Papa." That scene really did it. And then there was the scene where the Germans invaded the house, Is that right? You?
Yep.
Yeah, so Germans entered these houses, told all the inhabitants to get up.
Mm-hmm.
This one guy was in a wheelchair, so the Germans threw him out the window.
Yeah.
And then brought all of the Jews out and used them for target practice. Yeah, yeah, that, I didn't like that scene.
Me neither.
Yeah, yeah. And then, do you want to talk about this scene, Jim?
Germans had made the Jewish people dance for fun.
Yeah,
They sort of used them for their own entertainment, whether it was to embarrass them or like killing them.
Yeah, they were just like sitting there and they're like, "What are you bored? Dance, dance, go on." Yeah. So yeah, all of these things happened, and then next thing you know, there's an announcement out that says if you don't have work permits, you're gonna be like deported. I'm not sure if that's exactly what was said in the movie. Sorry, but then Vladik goes around and gets all of his family work permits.
Yeah.
And then this isn't written here, Jim. I'm just gonna say it. The family starts working for these people, like emptying bags and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one day they were all called out.
Yeah.
And they told a bunch of people to step forward, and they were like, you. And then he said, "Those of you who aren't stepped forward, you're being deported." And a woman said, "Oh, where are we going?" And then the German just right in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just...
It showed it too. Also is when you already said where they invade the houses.
Yeah, I already said that.
And they threw a guy out of a wheelchair.
Pretty much...
which makes me sick.
Yeah, pretty much after that, we are going to talk about what happened the day they were moving out. Which Jim already brought up the woman who said, why did I do it? I'll say the next one. There was also another incident where a boy was selling candy and the dad gave money to the
kid for the candy
and
because they were so desperate for food.
Yeah, and then like the kid, he couldn't do anything with the money. Yeah,
What?
Yeah, it was really
wanted to make
sad.
profit.
And then we don't have this written down here, but
yeah, we have a script.
We have a basis for
just
one.
Notes.
Anyhow, we don't have the stuff written down here, but then all of the Germans are forced to leave on trains, and then one of the officers, who is sort of friends with Vladik, he forces him to leave. Then,
thankfully, the piano man Vladik is left behind.
Yeah, and then he goes and he hides under the stage with this guy, and then he starts working for the German
construction company, I think.
He starts working for the Germans. And, and do you want to talk about this one?
Job, what do you call it? He has to sort of like help construct buildings, and he messes up one day and dropping all the bricks that he's carrying up the flight of stairs, and the bricks go tumbling down with the Germans just watching him, and he calls them down and he says, "I'm sorry, I messed up. It won't happen. I'll make sure it won't happen again." And then German just takes out his whip and hits him like 30 times.
Yeah, he viciously whips him. Then, and
he says, "Get him out of here."
Yeah, and then the working conditions are the same. Then I'm just going to move on to the next part in our notes by giving a short synopsis of what happens next.
Yeah.
After working for a while, he asks the guy who goes into town to contact some of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
He contacts them, then he moves into an apartment with his friend's help.
Yeah.
Yeah, he moves into the apartment with his friend's help. And, the apartment... Yeah, he moves in there, and then the apartment part, we don't really have many notes for this. So, let's just remember what we remember from it. Okay, you obviously don't remember it.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's been a couple days since we watched it. yeah, so what happened in the first apartment is he pretty much, it's nothing big. He repeatedly gets visited by this guy who brings him food, and he's getting like desperate. He's very thirsty, very hungry. And then one day he was so desperate he decided to. Tell me if you remember this, but he decided to open up his cupboard and break a bunch of things by accident.
Yeah.
So that caused him to be recognized, and then he had to run away from that apartment and go to the address that his friends gave him. And yeah, this is where the rest of the notes. He moves to the second apartment
after the first one is blown up,
and the
water stops working
in his apartment. Yeah, he
starts ended up growing a beard because he's been hiding for such a long time.
Yeah, he grows a beard. He also gets so sick that he needs a doctor to come look at him. So his health's really not good. After a while,
after the apartment gets blown up and he moves to the second one.
No, Jim. The apartment gets blown up. Then he doesn't remember the movie a lot. Or I don't mean to say that you don't remember the movie, but you don't remember what happened with the second apartment.
Was that the one?
It gets blown up and he has to run out in the city.
Yeah.
And then he gets. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Don't you agree that part?
Yeah.
It's sort of, he just runs around in the city, like going to different buildings and staying in them. He almost gets lit on fire in one of them. The flamethrower.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to mention what happens in this building?
The apartment gets blown up and
no.
He meets a German after he tries to open up a can, and the German says, "What are you doing here?" And then he says, "I am here just because I'm hiding." And the German says, "What do you do for a living?" He says, "I'm a pianist," and he takes him into the other room of the hideout that he's living in, and there's a piano there, and he says, "Play." So Vladek sits down and plays the piano for about a minute or two.
Yeah.
Then he stands up and then he says, what happens after that?
I'll describe this. So after that, the German says, "Where are you hiding?" And he takes him to the attic where he's hiding. And then the German says, I don't actually remember I think he says stay there.
Yeah.
And then this house that he's in is like the last functional house, so the Germans set up base there.
Yeah.
And the guy delivers him food almost every day.
Yeah.
It helps him live. And this is a German we're talking about here.
Not like another.
Yeah. This is a German we're talking about. Yeah.
And he helps him out. And eventually the German goes away and the Russians start to... Oh, and I forgot to mention, he leaves a German coat with him because he says that he has another warm one.
Yeah, and when
leaves his coat behind. So when the Russians arrive, Vladek goes outside with the German coat on, and he walks towards a couple of Russians, and he tries to give them like a hug or something, and the Russians look at him saying, "German, German." And there's a couple of Russian soldiers with guns, and they point them at it, try to open fire, but they miss.
No, they do open fire.
They do open fire, but they miss.
Try to kill him. And then
he hides, scurries in a building, and the Russians say...
He says, "Oh, stop.
I'm
a Polish guy."
Yeah.
And then
they say, why the beeping jacket?
Yeah, we don't want to say swears. And, after that, it's pretty much just...
him...
What happened afterward?
Yeah, it sort of tells
It shows like
him back in the recording studio,
and it also shows this guy that he knew being like greeted by the general, German general who helps him, and then it goes to a scene where he's back in the recording studio playing.
Then at the end, he's in front of an audience just playing the piano, and it says that he died.
In 2002.
Vladek died in June 6th, I believe.
2000.
2000.
Not 2002.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah,
and the German guy had.
We should have actually researched his name. We don't remember, but yeah, apparently he died in like 1950. So
yeah,
I don't exactly remember.
Or something.
But the question that I always brought to my mind is, why did the German guy help him out? Why did
he felt greedy? That's my opinion. He felt greedy, and he didn't want. He really wanted to say that there's really secretly good in some of the Germans, but he was just guilty that he didn't want to kill, a Jew that was left behind.
Yeah,
so
I sort of agree with that. But anyhow, I know that was a lot. We'll try to condense these videos down to a shorter time.
Yeah.
But this is our first try at doing it in a more structured way.
Yeah.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you do enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe
and turn on post notifications.
See you guys all later. Bye.